do we have to make these distinctions in 2022? I was talking about this with somebody the other day, with the whole thing about the black coaches and how it's now 2.5 men. And you're thinking that we have to make these distinctions at this point, and that the NFL has to reach and go, wow, he's half a black guy, that McDaniel, half a black guy. There you go. It's working. And you're thinking, why do we have to make these distinctions with white and black? I know it sounds kind of simple to say that, but why can't people just accept each other for who and what they are? The pleasure, as always, to be joined by the head basketball coach of the University of Miami basketball team, the great one himself, Mr. Jim Larinaga. Will you be using any of the video from the NBA All-Star game in any of your defensive classroom sessions? And does that even represent token pressure from the old days in the parks?
We're trying to get our guys to defend like the guys who guarded Steph Curry.
Well, they were shooting from the Coke machine, literally. I mean, there actually was a Coke machine at the midcourt stripe.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Welcome, one and all. There you go. Hi, good morning. Welcome, one and all, to the Defo Show down here in South Florida. Of course, we're worldwide. Thank you to the Icon channel. If you're looking, you're like, why is it? What? Yeah, no Defo. First of all, if you listen and watch our show, Defo is very clear about what he's doing with his life. So anyone, it's funny on the radio, like we're now here. We're 3 different platforms. We love 5 Reasons, Believe, and Ion Network. Jack, Amy, Brad, everyone over there does a great job. Before, when we were on the radio, it's funny, like when Defo would be gone, I'd get calls and people would be worried that he was fired. And I was like, dude, he talked about this trip for like a month. Like Defo, that's one thing I'll give Defo, and he taught me pretty early, like our personal lives. And I've told this to every woman I dated, but we've been doing this show for, it'll be 12 years and 3 months. Jesus. So Defo very early was like, let people know you're going to talk about them. Now, a lot of the time we exaggerate. If you've heard our show a time or two, we exaggerate. So not everything we say is true. Like Defo walked into his house one year and almost got stabbed by his girlfriend at the time because he had joked about being in Vegas and almost marrying a woman when he was with her. And it was a joke. So yes, we take some dramatic license, but our personal lives are on display. And I've told that to every woman I dated, told that to my now ex-wife, and my current wife knows because we've talked about Shirley a lot on this show. Shirley's front and center for years. She's sort of gotten, being my wife, our life settled down. We don't talk about her all the time anymore. But the Stang, Defo's wife, talked about his ex-wives, girlfriends. Our personal lives are on display. So, like when Defo's gone, and they're like, "Where's Defo?" It's like, the trip he's talked about for fucking 2 months. Yes, Defo is, I think, on a plane now going to AC, not Vegas, going to Atlantic City. I have yet to be in Atlantic City, so I try to withhold any judgment on AC. All I've heard is negatives about Atlantic City. Like whenever Defo talks about the fact that he's going to Atlantic City, and I say this in plural because he's gone a lot over the last 3 years. The last year or so, he sort of slowed it down. He went to Vegas more than he went to Atlantic City, but like a year or so ago, he was going like once every few months because he gets these great deals. And if you get a free hotel and you're in the casino all the time, what the hell do you care what the boardwalk looks like? So I never really judged him for it. But every time he mentions the term Atlantic City or AC, he gets massive judgment. Like everyone's like, yeah, Atlantic City, what the hell's wrong with you? So I don't know. I've never been there. I've been to Jersey like once and it was cool. It was fine. It was snowing. It was ice everywhere. I'd never seen that before. So that was fucking different. Orange County. But I never really seen Jersey. So I don't know. I'm withholding judgment. Defo is there. I think he should be there before tip-off. I actually we had a running bet. He's taking a Spirit flight, but it's from what he researched, the first Spirit flight that day. So he's hoping that there is no flights coming in. See, that's the problem. When people have late flights, they're like, why is it late? Well, it's not the people there that are screwing around. A lot of the time, the plane's coming from another location. And when that plane comes from another location, it can take time. It can get there late. They got to clean it up. They got to do the whole thing, especially now with all the COVID restrictions and concerns, they have to clean the crap out of it, which is great. I appreciate that. So that's what'll delay a flight. Spirit, it's almost every flight. However, if it's the first flight, even by Spirit standards, you would think that you'd be able to just get on the plane and go. So that was his hope. The flight's, I think, at like 9 something. It's probably like 2.5 hours. So he's hoping to make tip off and spend the next 4 days straight in the sports book, in the race book, doing his thing. I'm thinking he told me he'd be with me tomorrow for like a segment. We'll cross our fingers, not hold our breath on one Jeff Deforrest who will be with it. And the problem with him is gambling for 2 is always an issue. But for him, it's even more interesting because his wife actually does enjoy being. It's the worst for him because the slots is the worst thing. Like literally, you're just giving money away. But she can be there all day, so he could be there all day. So he will probably be there all night. So I don't know if he'll be up tomorrow morning. But if he is, I know the fill-in. Even though I'm a weird kind of a fill-in because I'm a part of the show. I'm entrenched in the show. So it's not like some rando coming on and taking over the show you all listen to and love, and we appreciate that. But I'm not Defo. I don't even try to be Defo. I will never try to be Defo. There's no human being on this planet that is like the one and only Jeff Deforrest. Literally, when we are out and about, people will get in conversations and then he'll walk away and they're like, does he know, like, you're not on air? Like, that this isn't a show? Yeah, he knows it. That's him. One-liners, joking, being the life of the party, being the center of attention, even though he really doesn't like the attention, which is a fun thing. Like Defo actually is not the one to try and steal the show. He usually wants to lay back, but everyone gravitates to him because he's fucking hilarious and he just doesn't care. So like, I will never be that guy. As you can see, I'm a fucking stress ball. Defo's like he has his worries, but you'll never know because he's in his own fucking world most of the time. So I am not Defo. I do not wish he gets hit by a bus either. As you can see, I had a job at iHeart. When our show left, I left. I came here because this is my life. This is where my heart is. And this show has been one of my favorite parts of my life for over a decade. So wherever that man goes, as long as he wants to work, I'm there. So I do not want anything to happen to him. Every time he goes away on one of these junkets, I say, please don't come back broke. I need you. So I'm wishing him well, as I hope you all are. Jeff, Defo Deforrest. Mayo calls me on the lunchbox, and that feels weird to me. Like he calls me like Lubitz, and that's fine, but he's Defo or Jeff Deforrest. But Defo will be back Tuesday here. He'll be back Monday. So I'll probably get him on air Friday and hopefully get him on air Monday. No Defo today. We will have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Sorry, Jack. And Frankie, baby. The backgrounds for some reason don't come up when I'm by myself. But Dave Gurgles Gurgly will be joining me at about 7:20-ish. And then I'll be able to do the full Hialeah Park splendor. As Defo likes to tell you, it is a fucking cool place. It's been very well documented on this show. And I guess it's why I also fit in, because you need to have someone who's like the straight man, quote unquote. Like if we're all just degenerates degenerating, like we would be in a corner somewhere sucking our thumb. So the fact that one of us, I've been with this group, and it's a group. We've all come together, Jersey and Gurgles and Polyman and the Professor and Mark Lawrence. We've all done shows together now for over a decade. I've been around it enough, and I've dabbled between the Professor and Defo. I've gotten in there at the track or on the games when I can, when I feel safe, because being the neurotic Jew I am, who does not gamble, I do not like parting with my money. I'm not going to just give it to you. There's got to be a reason you're getting my money. So I don't really go all in, but I've been around it enough that I understand it. I feel it out. I'm a fan of it. So going to Hialeah for the first time was an interesting experience because, like, I've heard about it, Defo, but it's Defo. Like, Defo always makes everything the greatest thing. And with the sponsors, he really throws it on. So people don't believe him. But what I'll give him credit is, and Segredo talked about this last week, the people we work with or partner with are so strong that we ham it up for a reason. Like, they deserve it. So the first time I went to Hialeah, Defo talks about it all the time. Like, he had seen it in movies. He had seen it in all these places. I hadn't. Like, I'm a different generation. I'm probably 2 generations removed from Defo. So I did not have these grandeur ideas of Hialeah. I'd never known anything about it. I walk into the place, I'm like, what the hell? Like, Gulfstream's really cool. Calder's a little sad. I don't know if it's still open, but it's a little sad. Hialeah is like fucking nuts. Like, it's massive and the grounds are ridiculous. And it looks like when you've, like, on movies seen horse tracks, like back in the day, and you could see the grandstand full, and like And then they put a lot into the casino. So the first time I ever went there was like, wow, this is freaking amazing. Like, what the hell? Like, it just was like an awe-inspiring experience. So that when Defo talks about Hialeah and you're like, oh, Defo, he's not lying. Like, that place is amazing. It would be super cool to see a race there. I've actually never been privileged enough to see them racing, but it is a really cool thing. It isn't in Hialeah, which is a place everyone runs to, but they're a reason to go to Hialeah. Like, they do a really good job. Frankie, Dennis says to everyone, they just do a really good job. And then it's really fun. And like Defo likes to talk about, usually when you go to like a destination, the prices suck. Theirs don't. Drinks, food, all top notch and all good prices. So this is the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up in about 15, 20 minutes with the one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgley. I am Mike. Defo likes to call me Lubie Lubitz. Defo is in AC. If you're chatting with us, I'll do my best. I will do my best. I can't really, like, I'm doing everything, literally. Like, I usually do everything, but at least Defo can talk. So I can futz. I can't do that today. So if you're trying to chat, we love you. John, I see you, my friend. I will try and get back to you. Andy, manager out there. I'll do my best to get out to you. And again, the trivia challenge will start around 7:30. So if you want to get in on that, just give us a call, 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. And again, I can't answer. So if you call, thank you. I will get you in the break. And Gurgles will be me in about 10 minutes or so. Now that I've slubbered on and not talked any sports, see, I have learned something from Defo. We talk sponsor, though. You always got to love your sponsors. And we love them, and they still love us, which is amazing in this journey that we've made onto the digital spaces. Busy time in sports. It's growing up. It was always a fight. Like, what's better, October or March? October or March? Because October, you get the end of baseball, beginning of basketball. Football is solidly going. You have hockey. So you have the 4 majors going. You have college football, which has always been huge down here. You don't have college basketball yet, but it's coming. Like, so that the fall's always cool. But the thing is, March Madness is like nothing else. There's nothing like March Madness. So, like, even though you don't have the 2 footballs, which are actually not only are popular now, it's a different, like, growing up, they were all sort of close, especially when you had Jordan. Like, basketball was right there with football, both college and NFL. Now, it's not. Like, the NFL stands alone. College is like next. And then you get the NBA with NHL and Major League Baseball. So, like, this time of year is falling off a little bit, but there's nothing like March Madness. Like, for some reason, I haven't watched any college basketball all year long. I guarantee the next 4 days outside of work, I will be freaking glued to the TV. The way that they produce it, the drama they put behind it. Like, literally last night was the playing games, and a lot of people are saying you may have had the best game of the freaking tournament. Like, Notre Dame and Rutgers go to double OT. Notre Dame had been losing most of the game, wins on a freaking last second buzzer beater, and they're now moving into the tournament. And that was just a quote unquote playing game. So there's just nothing like it. We make fun of Tony Segreto when we have him on Old School because he talks about the moment, and there's nothing like college athletics. It's not 1945, Newt Rockney, but there are certain times in sports, certain bowl games in college football, the College World Series, some of the softball stuff, some of the soccer stuff, and the tournament for college basketball that still allows you to pretend like these are college kids playing a game while going to school. Like, yes, you have a commercial every 5 seconds, and Jim Nance is mentioning every sponsor known to goddamn man, but you still get, like, sort of, you can lie to yourself and be naive for, 12 hours and just watch the game because they're great at throwing the stories out there in between timeouts and before the game and at halftime. They're great at, letting you pretend that it's not $100 billion business that isn't about academics at all. It's 100% about money. And we all know that. But the tournament allows you to pretend, and we all fall for it. Like Defo and I, who are as skeptical and sarcastic and sort of biting about sports as anyone. Even we, every year, like, oh my God, did you see the story about RJ Hunter and his father? Did you watch him fall off the chair? Like, when his kid hit the game winner, like, all of us still fall for that. And that's why, to me, this time of the year is sort of the coolest, because you can get sucked in for a month, pure bliss. And Defo's going to be enraptured with it. And the man that's going to join me soon lives every day enraptured in sports, as he is the golf man of all things at the Miami He will kill me. He used to be Shula, so we'll have to make sure Dave Gurgles Gurgley explains the transition, but not. They're still the same as old, but they have a new name, but they're still the same great organization they've been decades. So we'll have Dave Gurgly joining me next. This is the Defo Show with Lubie here on Ion channel. You can always get us. Just Google the Defo Show, DEFO. Also, we have our audio streamer, Defo and Lubie, DFO and Lubie, Defo and Lubie.com/live. If you want to check out the streamer, Miami Lakes Golf Club. Thank you, girls. I love you. Miami Lakes Golf Club, formerly Shula's, and there's no acrimony. It's all love. It's just we're growing and doing new things. Miami Lakes Golf Club is where Gergs is firmly entrenched there. So any of your golf experiences, that's where you want to go. And defonlubie.com/live. If you want to get the audio streamer, you still want the radio experience. There you go. You can hear us and don't worry about seeing us. Every day you can check out some of our South Florida content on 5 Reasons Sports Network. And we're doing really interesting things there. And our exclusive content, Believe Network. We're formerly Believe Podcast Network now. Just the Believe Network, just believe.com. Search after hours. We had an interesting conversation yesterday with Charles Davis. Today we're going to be talking with Brandon Lang. Yes, it's a tournament. So, of course, we got to go to Langman. Coming up in a few minutes. First, we'll introduce him, talk a little bit, Gab, and then we'll have your Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 to get on the phone line to have your shot at a Landlubbers gift certificate. I will not be doing trivia there tonight, but I do trivia there every Thursday, and it's a blast. We have a really good time. And that place, they are the best place for wings. I'm sorry. I know wings are expensive right now, but it's worth it. At Landlubbers, they have their plantation location still firmly entrenched in South Florida. So the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge will start in about 10 minutes or so. So get in on the lines there. And at 8:35, I'll have my buddy Blake. I know Jim Sarney has some interesting opinions about. Look, Blake's not an analyst, okay? So don't grade him on the scale of Clark Kellogg or Seth Davis. Blake is a guy that is ridiculously into college basketball and become a really good friend of ours, just like the professor. And we respect their opinion. They follow the game as well as anyone I know, and they know the game. So we had Blake last week to do a tuner. We've never had him before the tournament. So he was just throwing stuff against the wall. The brackets are out. The final 64 is set. So Blake Chadwick, my buddy, and he is really good at analyzing college basketball. So a great wrestling, boxing, and MMA announcer. He'll be joining me at 8:35. Talk a little bit about, get your last primer before the ball tips at 12:15 today. Michigan will be taking on, oh God, I wrote it down. Like I did a little bit of, Michigan will be taking on Colorado State. See, there you go. Michigan and Colorado State, your first action officially in the 64, field of 64. We'll talk about that with Blake Chadwick. And coming up next, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dave Gurgly will be joining me for your Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Again, give us a call, 954-417-0070. It's like a chant, like you're in shul. 954, or you're at Sunday Mass. 954-417-0070. Give us a call. Coming up next, Dave Gurgly, and then the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge right here on the Defo Show on the Ion channel. Again, Google the Defo Show, DEFO, to check out anything we're doing right here. We'll be back right after this on the Defo Show.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call the insurance company. Call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
This comes from the great Defo Llama. It's the bets you don't make, the chance you don't take that can compromise an otherwise incredible life.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
And see, Jack and Frankie, here we go. Our Hialeah Park Splendor. For some reason, it doesn't allow me to do it. So, and there you see the one and only Mr. Trivia Challenge himself, Mr. Miami, get it right, Miami Lakes Golf Club, the one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgley. Good morning, Gurg. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning, Mike, and happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Glad
Yes.
to see you dressed in the traditional green.
Shit, I don't have my green now. Well, Gurgs will cover the green, and there's green in the grass there. See, green. For St. Patty's Day. So, yes, I did not say happy St. Patty's Day. Hopefully everyone has a happy, healthy, safe St. Patty's Day. Let's not be amateurs. Let's be adults. You know, go crazy and then get home safely here today on St. Patty's Day. All right, Gurgs, in a few minutes we will get started. So, again, give us a call, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 to get in on the Trivia Challenge action. But we always love a little bit of banter. I mean, we haven't got to talk to you in a couple weeks. So I know you've been busy with these golf tournaments. How was it last week? I know, like, you tried to get on, but we're like, go do your thing. How was that last week at the Miami Lakes?
Last week was a tournament for Marian Catholic Center for Underprivileged Children.
Nice.
The nuns were out here. It was everything. It was a terrific day. And Monday I was doing one for the Dan Marino Foundation for Autism at Grand Oaks. But on St. Patrick's Day, did you hear about the two Irish guys that walked out of a bar?
I did not. I can't wait to hear.
That'll never happen. Never happen.
I was going to say, did they leave?
All right. So then there's these two Irish guys drinking in the bar in New York City. And Mike, the bartender, says, hey, Mr. Fitzpatrick, I want you to meet this gentleman down the end here. He says, what's your name? He says, oh, my name's Fitzpatrick too. He says, no kidding. He says, get that Fitzpatrick a drink, Mike, and I'll have one as well. He says, and what's your first name? Sean. He says, Sean, my name's Gerald. Okay. He says, where are you from in the old country? He says, I'm from Dublin. And me as well. Get that Fitzpatrick one on me, Michael. He says, where did you go to school there? He says, I went to St. Patrick's Elementary. And so did I. Get him a double and I'll have a double whiskey as well, Mike. He says, what street did you grow up on? This is a coincidence. He says, I grew up on Delancey Street. And me too. Another whiskey for him and me. Mike's getting off duty, and here comes Patrick, the other bartender. He says, anything new in the bar? He says, nah, just the Delancey twins in here drunk again.
In honor of St. Patrick.
I had an occasion. I've been to Ireland. I've taken 12 golfers on a trip to Ireland, and the only thing nicer than the people is the Guinness and the whiskey. I mean, the people are wonderful people. It's just a great place to visit. Wonderful folks. And I know we're on the heels of March Madness. And when I worked at then Shula's Steak 2, which is now Miami Lake Steaks and Sports Bar, I would run a rather unique March Madness bracket tournament. The way I ran it is you got 1 point for every game you pick correctly times the seed number.
Oh, see, that's smart.
A little different twist. Different twist.
Yeah, because Defo and I always hate that. Like, if you get screwed. If you have the winner, that's cool, but you should get credit for, like, your wins along the way. And the way the bracket works is sort of stupid. It's like it's even. It's not like there's no. Like,
There's different ways to run them.
I like that. That's
and
smart.
Defo is in Atlantic City, right?
He is on his way to Atlantic. If he was in Atlantic City, I'd have him on air with me right now. Jump on with us, but. He's on a plane right now to Atlantic City. The bet was, because there's always a bet, he's on Spirit, and Spirit usually runs late. But he had researched that it's the first, his flight at 9, I think, is the first flight out. So he was thinking it would not be late. So I'll have to.
Right, they're the best, the first flight out.
Well, that's the thing.
But he has to be careful with Spirit. They're not a sponsor, right?
I love that you ask it, Jeff.
Because with Spirit, the last one on starts the propeller. I understand that. I'm not sure. And I guess who I spoke to last night?
Who?
The Polyman.
Oh, yes. What's going on with him? Where's Polyman?
He's working hard. They're doing all kinds of new things down at the Magic City Casino, and the highlights back again. And he's doing some kind of something on Twitch. Is that a social media channel or something like that? He's doing something on Twitch, as a matter of fact, with the highlight. Apparently, they have the highlight on the screen, and they have Paulie up in a little corner in the box there, talking about it and everything like that. But he was in good spirits. He misses everybody. Obviously, he's trying to get everything set so he can join us one of these days. I've got the under of 2024.
Look, if he's kicking in 2024, then I'll be happy, actually, because with Polyman, you never freaking know. So we send our love to Polyman. I'm presuming the next coming weeks he'll be with us again. You do have Gurgles.
Yeah, right.
I love that you don't even Defo is, like Gurgles just said, on his way to AC. He should be joining me tomorrow for a segment or two. Coming up next, we will start the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Again, 954-417-0070 for your shot at a Landlubbers gift certificate. All righty. So I do want to take a quick break and then we'll get into the action. We've talked about Miami Lakes Country Club. You talked about the golf tournament. I know you're there, I guess, every day doing stuff. What are some of the other things you guys got going on there at the Miami Lakes Country Club?
Miami Lakes Golf Club. That's okay. That's not a problem. And to clear everything up, a lot of people, and I'm constantly on the spot for this. They go, geez, Coach Shula passes away and you change the name. Well, it wasn't quite that at all. What it was is the Graham companies who owned this in 1963. This was Miami Lakes Country Club. Coach Shula invested in the steakhouse in 89, became Shula Steakhouse, went so well, he became an equity partner in 92. And then what happened is, just this past year, in negotiations with his lovely wife, Mary Ann, things just didn't work out. So the Graham said, we'll go back to Miami Lakes. So we've got our tradition back of Miami Lakes. Coach Shula, we still talk about him, his house. He lived on the 16th hole here. There's still a lot of Shula tradition going on, but no acrimony, as you so astutely mentioned. And it's Miami Lakes Golf Club. Miami Lakes is just a beautiful, beautiful place to live and work. And I've been celebrating, October will be my 40th year. I opened the gym in 1982. I opened the gym.
Wow.
Took a good look at my body and moved me to the restaurant side. But other than that, I'm happy right now on the golf side.
Well, that's wonderful. And we will also touch on Perdomo, one of your other tremendous sponsors. Magic City, you talked about with Polyman. I love Twitch is something I haven't even been able to figure out yet. So that's impressive that they have Polyman on Twitch. Like, I love that. So,
Paulie always had a Twitch, but it was usually when someone was collecting money from him, but that's another matter.
Exactly. This is the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show. Coming up next, we're already getting calls in, so I appreciate it. I will give you a call back, so thank you for calling in. I think it's Lenny. So thank you, Lenny. You're always one I can count on. We can count on. I'll call you right back. If you do want to get in on the lines, 954-417-0070. No Defo, but you do have Gurgles, so that's something. And me, for whatever the hell that matters. Coming up next, we will start the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. There goes me and you right here on the Defo Show.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Leslie Visser, a lovely and talented one. I mean, the first woman and for a long time, the only woman, there are now two, in the NFL Hall of Fame. I mean, in there with all of the greats, Johnny U, Joe Willie, all of our favorites, Joe Montana, the great Dan Marino. and Leslie Visser, part of the scene in the NFL Hall of Fame. But what level of distinction is it to be the first guest on our new program? Because I would imagine Leslie Visser, and by the way, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us here on the program.
Is this an after-school special?
This isn't practice. We're doing it. We're all over the world.
Congratulations to you guys. I want to know. I'm so proud to be your first guest. And, of course, I have a number of things to go over that maybe this time it could be different. You know, isn't that the gambler's creed?
You think we're going to erase the past all at once here in one program? It's impossible.
The modern day outfit, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the Highly Apart Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show on, of course, Ion Channel. Again, if you want to check out everything we got going, just go Google the Defo Show, DEFO. You have Gurgles right there. He's back in action. You have me, no Defo. He'll be back Tuesday. He will be on with me, I think, tomorrow morning. I think we're going to get him to kick off the show. But as we tease it, I'm not Defo. We're not going to tease and leave you hanging. We're going to get started right now, as we do each and every week for, I think it's over 20 years now, not to make you feel
25
older, Gurgles, but I think that's impressive. I think that's a badge of honor. I think it's the longest running show in South Florida. 25. That's amazing. We're going to get it started as you've done each and every time, 4 years, with some
ice hockey. No, I'm kidding. Easy baseball. Easy baseball.
Yes.
This fireballing Yankee right-hander doing his best impression of the late, great Yogi Berra after getting blasted by the opposition. When asked by a reporter how he felt, he said, "Hey, at the end of the day, the sun comes up." What's that? Joba Chamberlain, Wilt Chamberlain, Richard Chamberlain, or Never Chamberlain?
All right, I'm going to scramble it up, and we have, it'll be nice if this is up. There you go. Faithful and steady, the one and only Lenny the Chronic. Good morning, Chronic Man.
How you doing, guys?
Good morning, Lenny.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Same to you, my friend.
Welcome back. Hey, you'll have to tell one more joke today. I need another joke.
Another joke? I'll come up one.
Yeah,
what's an Irish 7? What's an Irish 7-course meal? A 6-pack and a potato. Six-pack and a potato.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
So
that was too easy. You gotta go with a better one.
It made me laugh. I love that.
Oh, come on. What?
You asked for the
How
joke.
much did you pay for the cover charge, Lenny? Come on, Jesus.
All right, you got 1 point, Mr. Judgy. This is your true fault.
Okay, Lenny, let's give you a baseball question, true or false. Believe it or not, and it goes with March Madness as well, Hall of Fame UCLA coach was actually at one time offered the job as the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. True or false?
Yeah, let's go. He's from Indianapolis. I'll say false.
No, it's true, because at that time,
Of
the
course it
Pirates
is.
were partially owned by Bing Crosby of California fame. So John Wooden was the most famous. He approached him. Paulie, man, that one was for you, buddy.
That's right. That's right.
Always screw Lenny.
I can never get a sweeper.
That's classic. Ron, in like his 5th time, got a sweeper, and Lenny always struggles with the true false. All right, you have 1 point. This is your 3-pointer.
All right, Lenny, let's stick with March Madness, NCAA hoops. What sportscaster first called the NCAA tournament March Madness?
Oh, wow.
Was it
Ooh.
Bucky Waters, Brent Musburger, Chris Schenkel, or Kurt Gowdy?
Oh, Jesus.
Can you repeat the names?
Sure. Bucky Waters, Brent Musburger, Chris Schenkel, or Kurt Gowdy?
I'm going to go with Bucky Waters.
No, how about 1982 Brent Musburger?
Oh,
Even though
Wow.
it came from an Illinois high school tournament, and they sued the NCAA at that time, but they settled that so they could both share that name.
That's
Wow.
All
fine.
right, Lenny, you've still got
Good one.
1 point, Lenny.
Greg's in his glory right
All
now.
right.
This is
Well,
your 5-pointer.
All right, I'm sure you'll get this one, Lenny.
I'm sure.
What pitcher threw the ball that broke Sammy Sosa's bat revealing the illegal cork inside?
I don't know.
Was that? Well, sure you do. Come on, Lenny. Wait for the answers.
You got choices.
Was
for
it
you.
Lance Carter,
Okay.
Travis Harper, Jesus Colon, or Jeremy Gonzalez?
Oh, good for you.
Oh my God. Jesus.
No, it was Jeremy Gonzalez, his former Cubs teammate, in a 3-2 Cubs win versus the Devil Rays. Boy, Lenny, you didn't have to wait this morning.
Bob's away.
I'm going back to eat my potatoes and beer.
Enjoy your beer and
I got it.
potatoes.
Aaron Go Bra.
And I'll see you
All right,
next
guys.
Thursday. Be well.
Have a good one.
On one of these Thursdays, I'm going to make it out to Landlubber and join Lenny's team or play against them.
You should play it against them because they either win or are top 3 every week. I'd rather.
They're great group of guys. I played with them on a team one time at another tavern.
Oh, they're really good dudes, and we have a good time there. We do it. Speaking of trivia, every Thursday, Landlubbers here in Plantation. All
It's a
right,
free night out for Lenny.
It is a free night. He does a lot of trivia. He really, him and his group, I guess, go around town doing trivia, which is pretty cool. While I try and get the next guy on the line or gal on the line, I do want to touch on. It's funny. We have like Shirley and I for a while there got into cigars. Like, listen, you do Perdomo, the Greek. So we went to Cuba, got cigars. Went to Dominican Republic, got cigars. We went to the cigar thing. So every week now, I'm like, come on, babe, let's go grab a cigar because of the trivia challenge. And there's no one better than Perdomo.
Well, what you could do one day is take the afternoon off, or when Shirley has an afternoon off, drive up to Miami Lakes area and go to visit Perdomo. Tell them you're part of our show. And they have a big sectional couch with big screen TV, and you can enjoy a cigar right there. If you let me know you're coming, I'll make sure Nick and the gang take good care of you. But Nick and the gang take good care of everyone. All you got to do is go to 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto on the south side, a little bit east of Home Depot. You'll see the big Perdomo cigar sign and Nick's Cigars. Go in there. They're open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's a whole family affair. Nick's son is involved now, Nick Jr. Nick's son's wife, Lauren, will be the person greeting you there. Nick's wife is in the office. Nick's mom works there as well. It's truly a family affair, but it's a family of cigars like none others. As I told you, when my friends were in from Youngstown, Ohio, I took them down there, and they felt like they were meeting a Hollywood celebrity meeting Nick. You can also go on, and we need to get something on our screen with Perdomo's logo like we have with Hialeah and Landlubbers. You can go to YouTube and see the Perdomo story. Nick himself telling about how they grown perfect one at a time. Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua. 305-627-6700, the number to call. And www.perdomocigars.com, the website to go to. If you're not close to Miami Lakes, go to any tobacconist worth their salt, and they should have Perdomo cigars. We sell them right here in the Gulf Shop as well, and people enjoy them, and so will you. Put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars. Why not have a cigar with your Guinness today?
There you go. That's a good combo. A good
there
cigar.
You go.
Guinness
and
in a corner.
You people out there looking for good Irish whiskey, Jameson, of course, is the popular name. If you got a couple of dollars, when I was in Ireland, there's Redbreast Irish whiskey, about $85 a bottle. And I was in Port Marnock, right on the Irish River, a hotel there, and they invited me. My friend said, hey, have a drink with us. I said, let me try some Middleton Irish whiskey. So I went to Total Wine and Spirits, said, hey, you got some Redbreast? Yeah, it's over here, $85 a bottle. You have any Middleton? Just a second. Let me go get the key. It's locked in this cabinet.
Oh, geez.
$2.40 a bottle. $2.40 a bottle. And that's Defo, I think, was going to buy me one for my birthday, but he found it was $240, not $2.40.
I was going to say, he probably thought it was $3.
Yeah.
Good luck.
That's why you don't have green, because you're working with Defo. I know what I mean. Yeah.
Salmon, exactly. The green is very far from my grasp. We're working on it though. The green in your grasp as you keep playing the trivia challenge 954-417-0070. You get some green to Landlubbers. Landlubbers here in Plantation. Great wings, great beer. Talking about they do a whole thing. Say we don't even have trivia today because of St. Patty's Day and the tip off of the tournament. So try Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill, and try Gurgles here for our next set of questions and our next player.
Oh, we're ready to go? All right. One near and dear to Defo and mine and Paulie's heart, horse racing. This comedian describing a really tough day at the track when he got home, and they asked him how he did. He said, I had a tough day. Today I bet on a horse at 10-1. He came in at 2. What's that? The great Henny Youngman, Sonia Henny, Jack Benny, or Niece Penny?
Here's my scrambler. And we got who's become a very loyal player, and he has an easy track today. His buddy Lenny crapped out. The one and only Ron. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, guys. Let's go with A.
Nice.
Well done, Ron. Happy St. Patty's Day to you.
St. Patty's Day, my friend.
All right, NFL football is a combination, really. Former Houston Oiler defensive lineman and Hall of Famer Elvin Bethea, believe it or not, once held the New Jersey state record for the shot put. True or false?
Let's go true.
It is.
You're like the
It
anti-man.
is.
He sucks at the true false. He kills the true false.
Elvin Bethea is probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I've been to celebrity tournaments with him all over the place. He's got a little bit of that Michael Strahan gap. Well, what a super nice guy he is.
Nice.
All right, here we go.
All right, you got two, Ron, man.
Baseball, Ron. And it's coming right around the corner. Who was the first player to win the Cy Young Award in consecutive seasons?
Oh, Jesus.
Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, Whitey Ford, or Steve Carlton?
Let's go Sandy Koufax.
I would have said that too, but we both would have been wrong. Steve Carlton, the other left-hander.
So Koufax and Gibson, neither of them did it? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would never.
Carlton was
never
the first one.
That's nuts. All right, now you still have two. This is your 5-point question to soar into the lead. I mean, you're leading now, but
All right, Ron, we all like to fill out brackets for March Madness.
Yeah.
So we want to know,
Yes.
what are the odds of filling out a perfect March Madness bracket? A, 1 in 9.2 quintillion. B, 1 in 9.2 trillion. C, 1 in 9.2 billion. Or D, 1 in 9.2 gazillion.
any of these actual numbers.
I'd say C.
No, you would say that if you were saying yes in Spanish, but no, it's actually, hey, 1 in 9.2 quintillion, which I think is five,
Hang around. You'll be in the finals probably, so hang around. I'll give you a call if you're
that's why they give you $1 million if you fill one out. Nobody does. All right.
No, it's literally almost impossible. So I think it's happened in the world, but it's super duper 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 rare. This is the
People will probably have that kind of week. He'll be plunging today, I'm sure. They should get to Atlantic City about 11:30, probably somewhere around there.
His hope is to get there so that he can make the entire card between horse racing and games. Again, tomorrow he's going to recap. Well, we'll see how well he did or didn't do.
It'd be hard to press to beat the 70th birthday trip in Vegas.
It sucks to miss that. Like what you guys had that day, that weekend sounded freaking amazing. So, and that you had one piece. That was the biggest win.
Yeah, that night I stayed with a lady friend of mine in Palm Springs. She paid for the room. I get there, and the first night I win $3,900 and paid for the whole trip.
See, Dave always asks, is it better to win at the beginning or the end? And I think that because no matter what, as long as you're not a dumbass, you're good. Like as long as you don't overdo it. Like if you win at the end, you don't know. You can't predict that. So your whole trip, you're freaking stressed.
Well, the thing about winning at the end is you're getting out when you didn't expect it. But after that, I didn't. We took it easy. And Defo out at Caesar's Palace pool, just sitting there with what's his crazy buddy that he always talks about with the silk screen or the signs. Marty the Party.
Marty the Party.
Playing blackjack in the pool, literally sitting in the pool with blackjack, throwing chips around, and just a terrific time. It was really. Jim Dunn was there. Great time.
I know. You had a great crowd. I was not there, and Defo never let me hear the end of it. But I'm glad you guys were there in my stead. Defo isn't at Vegas. He's heading toward Atlantic City, so we'll get his recap tomorrow. We'll get you next after this break. More Trivia Challenge action. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070 for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Again, Hialeah Park. I talked about it at the beginning. Again, Defo's very flowery, so a lot of the time people take everything he says with a grain of salt. As anyone who follows our show knows, I'm not Mr. Gambler. I'm not Mr. Degenerate. I don't just go to the hole-in-wall place around the corner. So for me to walk in there and actually see everything he described and more, I got to give him and them credit. What they've done at Hialeah Park is freaking amazing. Like, it literally, you walk into those grounds, and it does feel like you're transported back into like the 30s or 40s when horse racing was the thing, and you could see the stands and you can hear the crowd and you can hear the popcorn guy and you can just feel the intensity. And then you walk in and what they've done with the simulcast, the Champions Poker Room, what they've done with everything over there, the casino itself, because we've been to a bunch of casinos and they have the feel of, you walk in there and you're like, oh shit, this is a party. Hialeah does a really good job. You guys were lucky enough to go there each and every week for years. And I agree with Defo. I sort of miss it because there's nothing like Hialeah Park.
Well, let me tell you about it. In 1971, I was on spring break from Rider University, Rider College, Rider University, now that they want more money from me. Rider College, we drove down, 8 of us in a Volkswagen bus from New Jersey to Fort Lauderdale. And one of the guys, luckily, was a degenerate gambler. And he said, hey, let's go to Hialeah. We drove from Fort Lauderdale to Hialeah Racetrack. And when you drove through there, it was like Field of Dreams, like going to heaven. It was unbelievable. We went in there. Back then, it was owned by the Maury family, even before Bernetti, but it was still gorgeous racing. And even up until the 80s, I went in there. Then they had battles between the different pari-mutuels down here. I go there. I still go there. It's not far from Miami Lakes. So I'll go there, make a few bets, sit down, go on the patio or face the track, see the flamingos, have a Perdomo cigar. You've got the Florida Derby coming up in April. And it's a Saturday in April, and Gulfstream, which does a great job putting it on, probably will have some charges to get there, maybe $50 a seat or whatever like that. And if they're sold out, which they are in a lot of areas, what a great venue to go to. Go to Hialeah. And in between races, or you get there early, go over and see Steve Calabro in the Calabro over on the casino side. And like you said, it's hopping. The food is great. The people are great. You get your own little individual carousel right there. And Hialeah Park's still a long-standing tradition. Matter of fact, there's a guy that made several $1 million. He founded the satellites that send the pictures from the racetracks to Vegas. Roberts Satellite, Tommy Roberts. You walk in Hialeah Clubhouse side, there's a picture of him as a broadcaster in his 20s interviewing Harry Truman, of all people.
Wow.
So that goes back. Tommy's now in his mid to late 80s, still thriving. But Hialeah Park, the grand old dam, is still there. Frank Fiore and the gang do a terrific job. So make Hialeah Park your next stop.
And make the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge your next thing you do. 954-417-0070. Dave Gurgles Gurgly. I'm Lubie. Defo is on a plane somewhere heading over the Atlantic. And we'll be back.
Not yet. He's loading the last couple of bags on, probably.
He's probably yelling at the Sting to get her ass into the freaking airport because they're probably just getting there. Knowing.
And so who's making the trip? Mustang? Is Kyle going too?
No,
just him and Kyle.
Just Defo.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
Wow. Well, God bless him.
This is their perfect trip. They get along really well on these trips, and we'll talk to Defo tomorrow.
Yeah, here's 2,000. Go play the machines. Yeah, right.
I don't know if he's giving her 2,000, but he probably should. And you'll talk to more of us next. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge right here on the Defo Show next.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
You can't fake caring. Women can sense this immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Back here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, the Defo Show. No Defo, but you do have me and the one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgly. Right now, Ron sitting in first with 2 points. The Chronic sitting in second with 1. So anyone has a shot to win and run away with it. There should be a finals coming up. So if you want to get in on the action, we do have someone standing by. But if you want to get in on the action, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 for the world famous Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We will keep it rolling and move on to our next player, the one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgly.
All right, hockey. This hockey player, or Boston Bruin, I think he was at that time, when asked by his teammates what they should say to reserve center Sean Van Allen after he sustained a concussion and could not remember his name, he said, "Tell him he's Wayne Gretzky." Was that Teddy Green, Johnny Green, Lorne Green, or Bob Green, which was Phil Hendry's AKA?
Scrambling you all up for our next player here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, the one and only Andy. Our faithful Andy joins us. Good morning, Andy, man.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Nothing much, sir.
Morning, Andy. Aaron Gobra.
There you go. Happy St. Patty's Day, Andy.
I'll go with 8.
All right,
good man.
Beautiful. You got it. All right, true or false? Believe it or not, Andy, the Urologist Society of America, those kind of doctors, have said that during March Madness, the procedure most often occurred by men is they always schedule appointments to get snipped, if you know what I mean. True or false? Up 23% for vasectomies during March Madness. True or false?
That question's a pistol.
I like it.
I'll go with false. I'll go with false.
No, it's true. It's true because guys get their vasectomy during March Madness because they're told to stay home and rest for 3 days. So then they just go home and watch basketball.
Very smart.
That's smart. All right. Well, that was your true or false. You got one. This is your 3-pointer, Andy.
Okay, Andy, let's take you back in NCAA history. What team won the first ever NCAA basketball national championship? Was that Villanova, Oklahoma, Princeton, or Oregon?
Jeez.
Yeah, I thought it was GCN. I think it's Princeton.
No, way back in 1939, Oregon beat Ohio State 46-33.
All right, you're neck and neck with.
Defo broadcast that game.
He probably was on the
Yes,
call.
he did. Yes, he did. Yeah, he was in his early 30s at the time, but that's no problem. All right.
All right, this is to take the lead as you're neck and neck with Chronic for second with 1 point. These are 5 points.
All right.
It was him and Marty Clifford.
There you go. Yeah, good.
Hockey, Andy. Alex Ovechkin is the NHL's all-time leader in power play goals, scoring 279 power plays. Only 3 other players have scored at least 250 power play goals in their career. Who of the following did not score 250 or more power play goals? Did not. Phil Esposito, Dale Anderchuk, Brett Hull, or Timo Solani?
No, it's Brett Hull.
No, Brett Hull at 268. Believe it or not, Phil Esposito at 246.
All right, conked out. All right.
All right.
See you next
Andy,
week.
man. You may be in the finals.
You got it, Andy. Take care of yourself.
Or not. He seems like he's done. So, this is the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We're going to take one more quick break. We'll get the final set. And before we go again, Miami Lakes Country Club, a place that you can literally find. Miami Lakes Golf Club. I want it to be a country club. It's everything.
Miami Lakes Golf Club, that's okay. It used to be called Miami Lakes Country Club. It's Miami Lakes Golf Club, and it's what they call a semi-private club, which means we have memberships. That's my job. I sell them. But we also are open to the general public. We've got different events coming up. I'm looking at my calendar next weekend. Actually, this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, actually. Barry University Women's Golf will host a collegiate tournament with 14 different women's colleges coming here. And the most frustrating thing for golfers out there, you guys know, these little girls just swing so easy and hit the ball so far. So they're terrific players. They'll be out here playing Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week. I have a meeting today, and we're working on a tournament for the Miami Dolphins draft party.
Nice.
Golf tournament in conjunction with the draft, April 28th and 29th, I believe, down the road a little bit. So we got a lot of things going on here, and great to have you guys watching us. And hopefully what we got to do with this show on YouTube, and I don't know, Defo's the guy to do it, is get this nationally viewed, because people can participate in Oregon, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Anyway, so they've got to discover us somehow. We'll figure a way. Maybe he'll tell people while he's in Atlantic City, while he's trying to borrow $20 from a guy.
Exactly. There you go. This is the Highly Apart Trivia Challenge coming up next. The finals, I guess Andy tapped out. He said goodbye. So we'll do Lenny. We'll do brother against brother. Lenny against Ron. Lenny and Ron will be in the finals. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, we'll have your finals for the Highly Apart Trivia Challenge coming up right here on the Defo Show.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
It really is something when you think back that you tracked a guy down on foot who had stolen your car. It's almost impossible to conceive of.
It wasn't smart. I was talking to one of my nephews, telling him yesterday the story, and he gets a look on his face. I'm like, don't do it. If your car's stolen, but you did it, and I'm an idiot. You don't want to be an idiot like me. Don't ever do that.
Kiss it goodbye, man.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to do.
It's not like this was a Bentley. I mean, you're talking about a Hyundai, for God's sake. You could have gone down to Deal Volkswagen and got yourself a Tiguan with the money you got from the insurance company.
It's true.
I would have been saying sayonara.
The Greek's like, oh, so you got a new car? I'm like, no. He's like, what's wrong with you?
Even if they dumped it in the Publix parking lot around the corner from your house, I would have denied that was my car. No, that ain't it. Good to be with you here. 940 wins, 1230 The Zone. Sports talk at its finest. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz.
The morning just isn't right without Defo. We now return to the Defo Show.
Not exactly 941 toward the Zone, but it is Ion Channel, and it will be later 5 Reasons Sports and Believe, and we have your Highly Apart Trivia Challenge. Alrighty, the finals is set. Brother against brother, family against family, the Chronic against the Chronics. We have Ron versus Lenny. You guys know the deal. We'll throw out a question. If you know the answer, say your name. If you don't, we'll throw out choices until someone gets the answer correct. And away we go. Finals with Dave Gurgles Gurgly, Lenny versus Ron.
All right, who is the only player to make the finals while scoring just 1 point on the show? No, I'm sorry. Sorry, that's not today's question, Lenny. All right. All right, let's take you back in sports history. This day in sports history, March 17, St. Patrick's Day, 1988. At that time, 2 teams participated in the highest ever NCAA basketball game, not final, game, with Loyola Marymount winning 119-115 over Boom. Go ahead.
I'll wait.
No, you said your name.
You called your name. Go ahead. Give me one of the choices.
UNLV.
No, but that was one of the choices. All right. Very good. That was one of the choices. A wrong one, but that was one of the choices. Was it New Mexico State? Was it Pepperdine, or was it Wyoming?
Pepperdine.
No.
Wrong.
Lenny, was it New Mexico State or Wyoming?
I'm going with the Cowboys of Wyoming. Fennis Dembo.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, Dennis Dembo. That's one of my favorite players. You got it.
Wow,
Wyoming
good job,
Cowboys.
man.
That's right. And Lenny, what famous Dolphin went to Wyoming?
Oh, good.
That'll be Ron. Ron, answer that, Ron.
Ron?
Dolphin went to Wyoming?
What famous Dolphin went to Wyoming?
Oh, Dolphin.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dolphin.
Yeah, Dolphin. Yes.
Jake Scott.
The late great Jim Kick out of New Jersey.
I rest his
Ended up in Wyoming.
Sundance. Did not know that.
Sunday.
Fancy.
All right,
go.
congrats, Lenny. Love you
Gentlemen,
guys.
have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day.
We'll miss you tonight, Lubes.
I'll miss you guys. Have a good St.
Anyway,
Patrick's
one
Day.
more joke before you go. We need a joke before you go.
This isn't a stand-up
All
act.
right, here we go.
I need
The Irish
material.
and the
I need material for the office.
listen, all right, the Irish and the Polish were tired of being the brunt of nationalistic jokes. So they decided to settle it on an American football field. So the Irish and Polish played for 3 days. Nobody scored. The Irish got tired of it, walked off the field. 3 plays later, the Polacks kicked a field goal to win it.
Yeah, that's good. That was
You'll
fun.
get it on the way home.
Enjoy your Patty St. Patrick's Day. I'll see you guys next Thursday. Oh Lord. All right, you're the best, Greg. Before we let you
All right,
go,
Mike.
one more plug. Got to get it in. Perdomo, big fans.
Perdomo Cigars, the best cigar you can buy. 305-627-6700. www.perdomocigars.com to find one near you. 5150 Northwest 167th Street. If you're coming out to play golf here, they're right down the road from us. See Nick Jr., see Lauren, his lovely daughter-in-law. He's a grandfather now, Nick. The place is terrific. You can smoke them there. You can take them with you. You can buy gifts for people as well. Put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars. Mike, good job today.
Mr. Gergs, thank you, Gergs, and we'll see you next Thursday for more Highly Park Trivia Challenge action. Have a great weekend, my friend, and a great St. Patty's Day. The one and only Dave Gurgles Gurgley. I am not alone the rest of the way. We will have my buddy Blake Chadwick join me at about 8:30. We'll have him jump in to talk some tournament action. I will warn you, he's not an analyst. I don't want people grading him on that scale. Look, the fact that he was good enough that you would is interesting. He's a buddy of ours. And just like a lot of people on this show, we surround ourselves with people that we feel are talented and good at things in the business. And Blake really loves college basketball, just like the professor. And we have him on Fridays breaking down college basketball games and giving you plays. Well, Blake isn't necessarily a degenerate. He may not give you plays, but what Blake will do is he knows the game inside and out. And every year, the last few years, geez, at least a handful of years, if not longer, we've had him on to talk about the tournament. Now, we had him on last week early. We've never done that before. But Defo kept talking about the freaking tournament and the conference tournaments because he was going to Vegas and AC. So I was like, all right, fine, let's have someone on. And we like Blake. So Blake did a decent job. But again, it's hard to talk about the tournament when the field isn't set. Now, not only the field is set to 60, the 64. We've had our playing games, had a ridiculous night last night with Rutgers leading a lot of the game versus Notre Dame. Double OT, Notre Dame wins on the last second buzzer beater, 89-87. Notre Dame will now be in the final 64. We now have that field set, which should allow Blake Chadwick, our friend, and who's come to become a good college basketball analyst with us. He will join at 8:35. I want to talk about the brackets. I like to talk to him. Well, he's good. First of all, the 5-12 upset thing. I didn't even really, and I know that's a common thing now. I didn't really realize that until I started doing a show with Blake years ago on a thing called deforadio.com. We did a daily show for years, and Blake is great at spotting the upset early in the tournament, and he's really good at spotting guys that will become something that most of us haven't heard of that you've heard of. So we will talk with Blake Chadwick at the 8:35, talk about the tournament. It starts today in 4 hours. Defo's getting on a flight. He's probably boarding if he wants to win the part of the bet, because I thought the Spirit flight would be late. I don't give a shit that it's the first flight of the day. It's Spirit. My wife has proven to me, like, I had actually had a decent run with Spirit. Shirley and my wife, were taking a Spirit flight, I think to New Orleans. And it was on time. I'm stoked. I'm grabbing my bag. We're about to board in like 5 minutes. And she's just sitting there on her freaking phone. And I'm like, babe, let's go. Because I don't mess around. Like, I don't like futzing. She has traveled a lot in her life that she's down to just be like the last person to get on the plane. I'm one of those people that gets up and stands there like a dumbass, even though I know I'm zone 3 and they're starting at zone 1. So I'm ready to go. And she's just sitting there. And I'm like, babe, I know you don't care, but let's go. And she's like, no. I'm like, why now? I don't want to fight now. She's like, no, it's not about that. She's like, it's going to be late. I'm like, babe, it's not late. Like, it's on time. We're departing and we're boarding in 5 minutes. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I'm telling you, it's Spirit. It's going to be late. Lo and behold, literally as they stop talking, bing, we're running a little late. Okay, fine. I'm like, it's 10 minutes, not a big deal. Half an hour, not a big deal. 2 hours later, we finally get to board our plane. So I've learned that Spirit tends to run a little late. Defo feels, because it's the first fight of the day, that he will be fine, leave on time, get there in time for the first action. We will have Defo on tomorrow to find out if that's true. You'll find out at 12:15 how the action shakes out. Michigan starts off the tourney fun at 12:15 playing Colorado State, a team. Michigan was one of those teams at 17-14 that I don't understand how you got. I've never seen a team with that record. First of all, 17-14. They had the hoopla with Juwan Howard punching a freaking assistant from an opponent. And then they lost 3 of the last 5. They lost early in the Big Ten tournament. Like, I don't understand how a team like that gets in, but they're playing the first game. So we'll see how that goes. A lot more things than the tournament going on. NBA, yes, our Miami Heat, we originated out of South Florida. I know we're on around the world on the Ion channel. Again, just Google the Defo show, DEFO. But we originated out of South Florida. The Miami Heat, one of the quietest number 1. I think they've been the number 1 seed for a long time now. I mean, the first month or so, the Bulls flirted with it. You had the Nets around, you had the Bucks. But since then, the Heat have been the number 1 seed for a long time. They still hold a 2-game lead. But all you hear about is the Lakers, the Nets, and yes, Kyrie Irving went for 60 2 days ago. But the Nets have been a disaster, even with Irving and Durant playing. The Lakers, oh my God. Like, it's funny. Defo's always been a Russell Westbrook fan. I don't hate Russell Westbrook. He puts up big stats, but he never helps. It's weird. Like, it's weird to call a guy who puts up triple doubles a ball hog because he gets assists. So obviously he's passing it, but the way he passes it is holding the ball to the end of the shot clock and then throwing it to a dude, and they may or may not score. And defensively, he's and he'll get rebounds, but it's very selfish. Like, he's never made anyone better. That's not who Russell Westbrook is. And he can't shoot. His shooting percentage, especially from three-pointers, sucks. So the Lakers picking him up made 0 sense. Like, you have LeBron, you have Anthony Davis. You need to surround that team with shooters. The team that beat the Heat 2 years ago in the finals was a team that could shoot. You had Danny Green. Caruso wasn't horrible from long. You know, you had KCP, Kentavio Caldwell-Pope, who could shoot threes. LeBron every once in a while. Anthony Davis every once in a while. Like, you had enough guys that can shoot threes. That's what you need around those two guys. Russell Westbrook needs the ball in his hands, so he can't play with LeBron because that's how LeBron plays. And he's not a good three-point shooter. And he's not even his mid-range shooters. And at some point, he's getting older. He's not going to be able to run over people to the lane. So that move made 0 sense at the time. Most NBA people thought it made 0 sense, and we've seen it's been an utter disaster. Westbrook's not only not starting, he isn't playing so much. Last night, Minnesota fans were fucking deriding him hardcore. Minnesota is a playoff team. They're better this year, but the Lakers should beat them. They lose by 20, 124-104. They're sitting in 9th. They're literally just 2.5 games up on the Spurs for the play-in round, like the play-in tournament. Like, that's a whole thing. And what's funny is people feel bad for LeBron. I don't. He's the GM. Like, he doesn't hide. He wanted Russell. The Lakers didn't want Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook didn't fit in any of their plans. LeBron wanted him. He loves the name. Okay. And now they're barely going to make the playoffs, if at all. And that whole thing's a sinking ship, if it hasn't already sunk. The other ship that's interesting, and I keep defending them because they got out to a really strong start without Klay Thompson, is the Warriors. Like, I don't know what the hell to do with the Golden State Warriors. Last night, the Warriors get rocked by the Boston Celtics, 110-88. The Warriors now are in 3rd place. The Memphis Grizzlies are in 2nd place in the NBA's Western Conference in the 2nd seed, which is freaking weird. Like, look, they actually have a nice young team. And Ja Morant has turned into, I don't know where you rate him because every week it's a new top 5. But Ja Morant's top 5 most exciting player, and the dude's well-rounded. He does everything, and he can defend too. And he has that team where they win with or without him. The Grizzlies are legit. I just don't know how far they'll go being as young as they are, but I really believe in the Warriors, and I get it. I think Draymond Green's still out, and he is sort of the pace, the heart of that team. but they've won 4 of their last 10. They've lost 6 out of their last 10. They've now fallen to the 3rd seed. Out of their last 20-something games, they're horrendous. It's interesting to see what's going on in the NBA. Like, I know we don't talk a lot of NBA until like the playoffs, I guess, but it's because the regular season sort of, it's funny because there's a lot of young stars, Luka and Trey Young with the Hawks, and then you have the Heat and Heroes playing really well, and Bam has emerged, and Karl Anthony Towns with the T-Wolves has actually found his legs a little bit, and all that's, you have LaMelo Ball with the Hornets, and like they're Dame Lillard's still out there. Like, you have a ton of young guys in the league that should help the league thrive, but for some reason it's sort of like the regular season's the playoffs I hope will get more exciting. It's weird. There's no great team. There's no team to hate. So I feel like that sort of has like made the interest level, whatever. Like, people seem to be more interested in NFL free agency and even Major League Baseball free agency. Like, Freddie Freeman going to the Dodgers got more headlines than anything on the NBA court, and that's the one season going on. So, we'll talk more about it. The Heat are the number 1 seed. The Heat are strong. Were horrible the other night versus a really bad Pistons team, but found a way to win. This team, that bench was really interesting with a guy like Strus, Gabe Vincent, Martin, who's been out but can play like that. You're at 7. Now you have PJ Tucker back. You have Morris back. Heroes become maybe their best scorer. He's like 10th of a point away from leading the team in scoring. Butler's out there. Lowry hasn't played great, but he's there. You have Oladipo. Bam has emerged as like an offensive, aggressive sort of force. Like, the Heat are legit. I don't know if they'll win it all, but as much as people, you don't want to play the Nets in the playoffs, you don't want to play the Heat. Like, they're the deepest team in the league right now. They can go 12 deep, and every guy they can count on. And Spoelstra is coming to his own. I railed against Spoelstra early. Like, that 2010 finals, they should have annihilated the Mavs. Like, they were literally up 2-0, up 2-1, and his rotations were like, he struggled with rotations early, but he is right now in the top 15 list ever as a coach, and he's earned it. Like, it wasn't just the big 3. Like, since the big 3, they've been back to the finals. They almost won a finals versus the Lakers team that was definitely better. They have done a lot more with this team. They've had so many injuries this year, and these guys that no one really heard of, even what they've done this year. Again, the guys I just mentioned. Spoelstra is probably the best coach in the league right now because Kerr with the Warriors does as good as his players allow him to. Popovich is a legend, but the Spurs have been since Duncan retired. Like, the Heat every single year are good, and no matter what they throw out there. And as much as that has to do with the front office, it has to do with Eric Spoelstra. And he's really become, right now, probably the best coach in the league. And I don't know what argument there is against that. We will turn more attention to the Heat, to the NBA, NFL free agency. Von Miller, which was supposed to be coming back to the Los Angeles Rams, the defending champions. No, he's going into the AFC East with the Dolphins. Signs a huge deal. It's like 6 years, 90. I don't know. I think it's 6 years, 120 million. The dude's in his 30s, and up until being with the Rams, no one knew he was in the league still. So he can play, Von Miller. Don't get me wrong, and he can give them a year where he looks like a beast. I mean, he played really well in the Super Bowl and the playoffs, but 6 years. I mean, I get in the NFL, it's not guaranteed. I mean, they're guaranteeing more and more money, but it's still his last 2-3 years won't be guaranteed. So I get it. It's really more like a 3-year contract, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if even 1 year, Von Miller played really well because he had Aaron Donald there. And they had, that line is really strong in Los Angeles. The Bills defense overall is good, but Russo had a good year out of Miami with the Bills, but their defensive line's not great. Like, Von Miller's getting that money to be the guy. Like, I don't know if he's still Denver Von Miller, but got a lot of money. We're seeing a lot of money. The Miami Dolphins. Brett Tessler, the agent to the Stars, has joined us each and every week. I think it's 10 years, maybe longer. Is the agent to Raheem Mostert. Mostert inks a deal with the Dolphins yesterday. Mostert set, I think, the NFC Championship rushing record under Mike McDaniel, the rushing game coordinator. Tessler this week, we asked because they had just signed Chase Edmonds, the Miami Dolphins, out of the Arizona Cardinals, and we asked what about Mostert, because there were murmurs that Mostert was supposed to be coming here. Like, he and McDaniel got along really well. McDaniel loves Mostert as much as Mostert loves running for McDaniel, and they just signed Edmonds. And Tessler said, well, they really get along well. They have a great relationship. We'll see. Just because they signed Edmonds does not mean they won't sign Mostert. We'll see. Like he said, we'll see like 2 or 3 times. And it was like, okay, I mean, he must know something we don't, but whatever. Well, comes out yesterday, Raheem Mostert signs a deal. Brett Tessler's agent, Brett Tessler's client, signs a 1 year, $3.1 million deal to join the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins have stepped up their rushing attack. Yeah, they're not huge names, but they're two dudes. Edmonds, I think, was like top 10 in yards, top 5 or top 10 in yards per carry. I think he was like top 3 in yards before contact. So just on his own, I think after contact, he was like top 10. So I had never heard of Edmonds, but he did a really good job for Arizona last year. And Mostert, look, until he got hurt last year, he was the Niners' #1 back. He had gone from practice squad to special teamer, being one of the better backs in the NFL. Like yards per carry, he was killing it. He is a brute. So those two guys, I'm sorry, and hopefully Duke stays on, but I'm sorry, Ahmed and Gaskin. Those are two guys that were fine in college. They're practice squad guys. I like that the Dolphins are getting guys that have started in the league, are legit starters in this league to run. They've done some interesting things in free agency. The one thing they haven't done that they need to do is get a tackle. Whether it's trade for Lyle Collins, murmurs came out yesterday that the Patriots are interested in him. No. Lyle Collins is one of the better right tackles in the game. You have a left-handed quarterback. Guess what the quote-unquote left tackle is? The right tackle. The left tackle is the important part on an offensive line because your quarterback's right? It's the blind side. Well, if your quarterback's left-handed, the blind side would be the right tackle. Okay, so Lyle Collins would be perfect for the Dolphins. They haven't made a move for him yet. Armstead from New Orleans is probably the prize free agent on the market still, and even in the beginning. He's going to cost a lot of money. I know the Dolphins, I have actually liked their approach. They haven't spent big. They've spent smart. They've gotten a receiver. They've gotten some running backs. They've gotten an interior offensive lineman from Dallas, but they do need a tackle. And I'm hoping they finish off this free agency class by getting a tackle. We'll see what they do in the draft. Major League Baseball free agency has been interesting. The Hot Stove League, people don't talk about it like they once did, but it has been pretty interesting. The Freddie Freeman, the Braves sort of said, screw Freeman, we're going to get Olsen. They went younger, big contract to get a 28-year-old instead of, I think Freeman's like 32. Well, the Dodgers already have a freaking loaded-ass lineup, one of the better lineups in decades in baseball. Go and bring a guy who was either won the MVP last year or was MVP candidate and won the World Series for Atlanta, who hadn't won a World Series since the late 90s. Freddie Freeman still has a lot left in the tank. The Dodgers didn't need any help offensively. They're bringing Kershaw back, and now they add Freddie Freeman. And with Tatis Jr. having surgery, the NL West, I don't know, it may not be as interesting as it looked. The Giants actually had a good year last year, but the Dodgers are freaking loaded for bear. We will see what happens with baseball. Free agency is going on. Again, NFL free agency will steal the show a little bit, but the NBA is in season, and we're getting to April right when the playoffs start. March Madness again, as I talked about earlier. Tips off today, 12:15. You have Michigan, Colorado State. 8:35. Well, Blake Chadwick, he joins us each and every year to break down the brackets. I am Mike Lubitz. Thanks again to Dave Gurgles Gurgley for joining me on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We do that we try and do it each and every Thursday from about 7:30 to 8:30. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Hialeah Park, place Defo, has been going 2 years. I hadn't gone to until the last few years, and every time I go, it's a freaking blast, man. Like, that place is so amazing. It's beautiful. Gertz talked about it. Like, sometimes you can just sit on the veranda, grab a cigar, grab a drink, amazing Cuban sandwich, and just look out. They have freaking flamingos there. They do the flying flamingos. It is a spectacular view. And then inside, took simulcasting, Champions, Poker Room. You have the casino itself is done really well. The staying gets lost there. Me and my wife, Shirley, and I have been in there and had a good time. Like, they do a really good job. They don't kill you. They don't knock you over the head with prices, which usually when you go to a place, you expect to pay, especially in Miami. Nope. Food, drinks, great prices, and they do a great job. Hialeah Park, thanks to them. Frankie, we love everyone down there. Dennis, Tess, everyone out there. Thank you for supporting us. And each and every Thursday, we do the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Today, our winner was Ron. It was a very lame game. Andy, I think, had 1. Lenny had 1, and Ron had 2. So feel free to join in. You have a shot to win next week, 954-417-0070. This is the Defo Show. One, Jeff Deforrest is on a plane now, I think. His flight's around 9-something to get to Atlantic City. He's going to take in all the action from the sports book for the tournament. I'm taking in all the action all weekend down here. No trivia for me tonight, but each and every Thursday I do trivia at Landlubbers. They do give you that gift certificate for the trivia challenge. Look, wings have gotten a little bit pricey, but for the right wing, that's fun to say, it's worth it. Landlubbers wings, my favorite wing. I have been going there. Devo makes fun of me, but I've been going there my whole life. Like, I'm born and raised in Sunrise. It's quote unquote plantation, but it's, I think, 2 to 3 minutes from the house I grew up in. So I've been going to Landlubbers forever. Their wings are amazing. And what's cool about Alex Dufresne, one of the proprietors there, is he's a degenerate. So they have, I think, over 50 TVs. I don't know. Every inch there's a TV around the whole place, and every TV's on sports. And today with the tournament, you'll probably have every TV on the tournament of some kind, so you don't miss any of the action. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. They are a great place for St. Patty's Day. No, they do corned beef, cabbage, potatoes, the whole thing. I don't know if they do green beer, but I know they got Guinness, and they do a great job with that. And all the tournament action, Landlubbers will have you covered. I usually do trivia there every Thursday at about 6:30. We're off this week. We'll be back next Thursday at about 6:30. Coming up next, we're going to get into the tournament. I openly admit I haven't watched a lot of college basketball this year. That's why we keep Blake Chadwick around, because Blake has watched tons and tons and tons of college basketball. He is one of our college basketball gurus. We do The Professor. We have him on every Friday. His top 5 is hysterical, but he knows his college basketball. Blake Chadwick as well lives and loves college basketball. So we're going to have him on. We have him on each and every year to sort of break down the brackets, what he's looking for, what he's thinking, what players should we be looking for, what teams may be disappointing, who have we not heard of that by the end of the tournament we will know. All those questions will be answered after we talk with Blake Chadwick. The brackets, remember, your brackets, I think, are due by 12. So if you want to fill out a bracket, get it done. I'm doing one with Believe. Again, we do a podcast, exclusive content with Believe Network. Yesterday, our guest was Charles Davis, the partner of the number 2 CBS NFL team, Iron Eagle, Charles Davis. We talked with him yesterday about NFL free agency, about the upcoming NFL draft, some of the moves going on around the league, the whole Brian Flores, Stephen Ross debacle. Today, our guest is Brandon Lang, handicapper extraordinaire who loves to push the envelope. He's our guest, Believe.com, search after hours. Also, check out our content, South Florida content on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and each and every day, Defo and me, right here, Ion Channel. Thank you to Jack, Amy, Brad, everyone there at Ion Channel. If you want to check out everything we got going on Ion Channel, just Google The Defo Show, DEFO. No Defo. He's on his way to Atlantic City. You do have me and more tournament banter. Again, if you notice, I've not touched on it at all because I really have. I know Duke's good. I know Gonzaga's freaking loaded. They brought back a lot of guys. They brought back Timmy, who was supposed to be a first-round draft pick. And then they got Chet Holmgren, the number 1 high school recruit who possibly could be the number 1 NBA draft pick this year. Gonzaga's the pretty much favorite. I mean, they lost in a tough game last year to Baylor. Baylor's also a number 1 seed, but it feels like the preeminent favorite is Gonzaga. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people think that's a lot to put all of your eggs on the Gonzaga basket. So we'll talk with Blake Chadwick next. A little bit of tournament talk right here. You can always follow me, by the way, on Twitter at Lubie on Air, on Instagram at Lubie on Air, and more right here. The Defo Show with Lubie on the Ion Channel. More coming up next.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305 453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by asleep to see we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about except to hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Somebody loan me down. Hopefully Defo won't be singing this tune in his days in Atlantic City, and definitely when he gets back. This is the Defo Show. I am Lubie. We are going to turn our attentions now to March Madness. The big dance really kicks off. Yes, I get it, the play-in games. I know anyone around college basketball loves to throw the play-in games. Tuesday, Wednesday, you had your play-in games. Field of 68, or I guess it's more than 68 now. What is it? 18, so 72, whatever. Your field of whatever the hell is now down to the 64. We have 64 teams remaining. We now will turn our attention to the real big dance, the real March Madness, and today tips off 12:15 with Michigan and Colorado State. We're going to talk with our good friend, man who knows college basketball inside and out, guy I used to do a show with for years, actually, each and every day. The one and only Blake Chadwick now joins me to talk a little bit of tourney love and sadness. What's going on, Blake? How you doing?
Good morning, Lubie. I wish we had Defo today, but of course we could go a little old school with some young guns this morning.
Exactly. Young Guns. We did a Defo radio every day for years, and it's where I really started to hone in on the 12-5 upsets, started to hone in on the upsets. I really wasn't great at brackets until I met this gentleman. He knows his brackets inside and out. So you have about 3.5 hours before your brackets need to be turned in. So anyone who hasn't done a bracket, listen clearly, because Blake knows his stuff. First, we always love to go here. We know who the favorites are, who are not even the sleepers, because everyone's throwing out VT and this and that. I like to always ask you, who are the teams we haven't heard of, we don't know, that we may or should know by the time this weekend gets underway, and maybe when this weekend's done?
Well, Lubie, you mentioned the 12:15 tip-off between the Michigan Wolverines and the Colorado State Rams, but you look at the second game, 12:40, the 4-seeded Providence Friars taking on the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, the number 13 seed coming out of the Summit Conference there. South Dakota State, one of the most efficient teams in the country. They can knock down the three ball. Providence has had some issues in recent weeks. Of course, Al Durham, one of their key players there, a transfer from Indiana, has been in and out of the lineup. Ed Cooley's done a great job with this Providence Friars team, winning the Big East, I think, for the first time maybe ever. But again, you're talking about a 4-13 matchup, which has trended towards that kind of 12-5 pick that you were alluding to right before I came on the air. And I like Providence to go down early as one of the upset specials there with South Dakota State picking up a big win. I don't think Providence has the offensive firepower to really be able to hang there in that ball game. And, taking a look at some other games today, Indiana, you mentioned the first four as well. Indiana picking up a huge win over Wyoming on Tuesday night. They're looking to ride that momentum. Trace Jackson Davis there. I mean, he's one of the top players of course, in the Big Ten. He's an all Big Ten type player. And again, with John, of course, I do believe Lubie overall that Indiana does have the pieces of the puzzle. Mike Woodson, again, the coach there, he's an alumni. He's coaching the NBA. He's coaching big-time environments. I think a good 12-5 potentially could come right there. And just to throw one more out there, Lubie, today, I mean, 4-13 again, Arkansas against Vermont. I kind of like the Catamounts. It's a senior-led team. They're really complete, and I think Arkansas, though they played well as of late, is an Elite 8 team last year, but I just don't know if the Razorbacks have the shooting to be able to hang. And I think we could see a couple of double-digit seeds move on today.
All righty. So everyone loves the upset. Well, it's funny, you, the professor, and I have always talked about this. Like, the first weekend's cool. We love our upsets. But then once you get down to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, you sort of want the cream to rise because you don't want to see some schmenk get annihilated in the Final Four, as we've seen in years past. Everyone's zoned in and honed in on Gonzaga. Last year, they lose a tough one to Baylor in the championship. Mark Few's been flirting with this for freaking years and yet has not come down with a title. Is this Gonzaga's year? Like, everyone in the world is on Gonzaga. Look, I'm not going to lie. I went chalk and I have Gonzaga. So that means people should probably go totally away from them. Where are you with, like, I know Arizona's getting some love. Baylor, again, the defending champion. Are you all in Gonzaga, or who do you think literally is the team that you're looking for to take out Gonzaga?
Yeah, I think we certainly would like to see a little bit of chalk, at least towards the Elite Eight. I don't think we're looking at a Kansas State, Loyola, Chicago blockbuster again in the Elite Eight. I don't think as fans we necessarily want to see that type of environment play out. But you look at Gonzaga, Lubie, again, they've been in the national championship a couple of times in the last several years. This is another loaded team. I don't know if this is the best team that Mark Few's had, but it has a nice mix of guys in terms of veterans like Drew Timme and, of course, guys like Anton Watson be able to come in off the bench. And then you throw in the freshman phenoms, guys like Nolan Hickman, who's a big-time guard that comes in there and plays in the rotation. And then, of course, Chet Holmgren. I mean, not enough can be said about this young man, as he can do it inside and out, really disrupt players in the paint, hit step out, hit the three ball. I mean, the guy really has a pro-style game. I think the third time's the charm, Lubie. I mean, I hate to say it's going to be chalk, but in a season of major inconsistencies, Gonzaga has been the team to kind of hang around. And you look at their path. Obviously, that first game against Georgia State shouldn't be too much of a problem. When you look at the second round matchup, the 8-9 game, Boise State and Memphis really should be able to get by there. Memphis, of course, if they had all their guns, everybody played up to their potential.
Yeah.
Memphis is probably not a 9 seed either. So, you know, it's one of those things that has to give in that situation. And then you look at the Sweet 16. I mean, a potential Arkansas or UConn or even a Vermont or a New Mexico State shouldn't be too difficult, I think, for Gonzaga. And then you find yourself in the Elite Eight. You're looking at maybe a Duke in a rematch from earlier this season when the Blue Devils beat them, possibly Texas Tech in another big-time style battle there, which would be a rock fight. But I'll tell you, I think Gonzaga has a pretty solid path. They certainly earned the number 1 overall seed. And Mark Few's on a mission, because if this team can't get it done, Lubie, I don't know when Gonzaga ever could.
Yeah, this is the Defo show. Lubie here, no Defo. He's on his way to Atlantic City talking to my man, Blake Cowick, renowned wrestling, boxing, MMA, ring announcer, play-by-play announcer. He'll do everything when it comes to action sports. He also is a huge, not only college basketball fan, but analyst. And every single year he breaks down the brackets for us. Follow him up on Twitter at StackGuyBack, BAC. You brought up Duke. You know, you've done enough show with the professor to know how we feel about Duke in these parts outside of Leslie Visser, who we love. And she's very close to Coach K. The rest of us have an interesting attachment to Duke. Duke's had a weird year. Like, they seem to be hitting their stride like 2 weeks ago. And before the ACC tournament, it was, okay, these young guys, this group that a lot of people think will be the entire starting 5 will be first-round picks. They're coasting. They're going to be a 1 seed. They should be the 1 seed, and they're going to really give Gonzaga all they can handle. And then they lose to Carolina in Coach K's final home game. And then they lose to Virginia Tech to lose the ACC tournament. Where are you with Duke? You just said even Gonzaga facing Duke, like a rematch from early in the year, shouldn't be a tough test for them. Do you have Duke getting that far? Like, we've seen Duke in years past. They either go all the way or they struggle early. They're sort of hit or miss. Where are you with Duke in this tournament?
I think I've watched too many Disney movies, Lubie, as I'm trying to find that Cinderella story here for Coach K and company. You know, obviously getting punched in the mouth by UNC and then getting another right hook, if you will, by Virginia Tech double digits in the ACC final. Certainly Duke going the wrong direction at the wrong time of the year. I mean, obviously they certainly want to be playing their best basketball entering the month of March. And of course, the big dance in the NCAA tournament. They come in as a 2 seed. They will likely have problems in round number 2, whether it's the 7th-seeded Michigan State Spartans or, of course, the number 10 seed Davidson Wildcats. I like Davidson, what they bring to the table. And I was actually talking about this with the professor. I like Davidson in a bubble. Like, if we were just looking at this game in kind of a vacuum, Davidson against Duke in a second-round environment. But again, like the professor pointed out, and I think it's a great observation, Davidson and the rest of the teams in this tournament, Lubie, you're not just playing against Coach K. You're not just playing against the Duke players on the floor. You're likely playing against the officials as this group of referees. They're going to want to make sure they can do whatever they have to be able to keep Duke around at least until the second weekend. Once you get past the first two rounds, anything can really happen, whether it's that Texas Tech spot there, maybe it's Alabama. I think one of those teams potentially could disrupt what Duke's doing. But I think the 1-2 rematch with Gonzaga sets up great. Coach K, I think they have at least what it takes, to get through a couple of rounds if they're shooting the basketball well. Obviously, if they got guys like Mark Williams rebounding the basketball well, and Paolo Banchero. I mean, Lubie, he's a top prospect. He should be a top 5 draft pick. And if this guy can get it going, like we've seen in the past, when Zion Williamson was able to turn on, or R.J. Barrett, or even Cam Reddish, some of these freshman phenom in the past. We'll see what happens here. I think Duke has the chops to get to the second weekend, but it won't be an easy ride for Coach K in his final dance.
All right, last couple of things here with Blake Chadwick, wrestling, boxing, MMA announcer extraordinaire. Also knows his college basketball. Again, follow him up on Twitter at StatGuyBack, BAC. He's also great on Facebook. He's a lot more philosophical than we are. Look up Blake Chadwick. Okay, so the guy you were great with, I think the two you got me with, it might not have been Curry, but I remember Lehigh, and you're like,
CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum, and also, I forgot what was it, Weber with Dame Lillard, that backcourt actually. Both guys.
Absolutely.
We started playing the game. All right, Blake, who are guys we should look for? And we sort of were joking about it. And then I remember you brought up Damian Lillard. And we're like, yeah, whatever. And then he like balled out in the tournament and was like a top 10 pick, and now is like a top 10 player. Okay, fine, Blake. So like the next year, it was like, okay, who this year? And you're like CJ McCollum and Lehigh. And then literally the 15th seed took out the 2 seed Duke Blue Devils. And McCollum now is one of the best 2 guards in the league and has formed one of the better backcourts in the NBA for a long time now. Okay, so each and every year we ask you, what guy do we not know that we will know? The guy Defo talked to you about last week, Peter Kiss, is already gone. Bryant lost last night to Wright State. So it won't be Peter Kiss, who is someone that we don't know so well now that by the end of this weekend we will know.
Unfortunately, Peter Kiss got a kiss goodnight last night as Bryant was put to bed. We didn't think the run would last long, but anytime you could add a little spice to a 116 matchup, it's certainly good, as those are typically your sleeper kind of games. Let's just look at today's games at least, and then we'll get into tomorrow's games for a couple of guys we need to take a look at. The first game of the day, Colorado State, number 6 ranked, the Rams there. David Roddy, 5th-year senior, he can really lead this team. Is the best team Colorado State maybe has ever had. I think personally they're probably better than a 6 seed. I certainly like them over Michigan in this environment. I think their second round does not match up very well.
Let me ask you, not to interrupt, but I have to ask, and Michigan came up. What are your thoughts on them getting in? Like, I've never seen a 17-14 team get into the tournament. That's a weird fucking record. And they were 3-2 down the stretch and went out early in the Big Ten tournament. Like, did you think they were a tournament team?
No, I didn't. And a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that they are Michigan. We had the incident recently with Juwan Howard, so they've obviously been in a little bit of a spotlight. Hunter Dickinson, one of the top big men in the nation as a sophomore. And again, it's a traditional type of program. Michigan will sell some tickets. Yeah. So I think it's one of those things where you're probably looking at it more from a business perspective. I don't think they deserve to get in. They certainly did not deserve to get a bye, in my opinion. Yeah. This is definitely a first 4 team. And Lubie, taking a look at those first 4 games, whether it's Wyoming, Indiana, Rutgers, or Notre Dame, all 4 of them, in my opinion, a better basketball team than the Michigan Wolverines. So that right there alone shows they were misseeded.
Yeah, so sorry for going back. Yeah, you were talking about Colorado State, Michigan, and Colorado.
So David Roddy certainly got to keep an eye on today. He's the type of guy that can control the tempo, and in an environment against Michigan, I think he can control that pace. And then potentially in the second round, with an upset on the horizon against Tennessee, he's the kind of guy that could disrupt the defense of the Volunteers there. So he's certainly a player to keep an eye out on. Looking at today's one of the 5-12 matchups, Richmond and Iowa. Even though he plays for Iowa, he plays in the Big Ten. Everyone still thinks Luka Garza when we talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes. But Keegan Murray has slid in there and done a beautiful job of replacing Garza as the primary scorer. 20-plus points a night and really take over. You saw him throughout the Big Ten regular season into the Big Ten tournament, allowing the Hawkeyes to secure that championship. I really like what Iowa brings to the table. They're playing great basketball right now. Fran McCaffrey, obviously a top-level coach, and I think we'll really see what Keegan Murray has on display today against the Richmond Spiders. And Lubie, just taking a look at some other games here today. Obviously, you look at that San Francisco-Murray State game, the 7-10 battle, 2 of the top big mid-majors in the country. KJ Williams with Murray State has been their top player, one of the best players in the Ohio Valley. And then San Francisco, the fifth-year senior guard, Jamari Bouye. He's been a great piece out on the WCC. I mean, everyone, when we talk about the West Coast, we talk about Gonzaga. We talked about St. Mary's. I mean, to an extent, we even talked about BYU. But you cannot discount what San Francisco brings to the table. The Dons having one of the better seasons in recent memory. And I think in terms of just on-court play, this could be one of the more underrated games of the tournament. And I really like this one going down to the final buzzer. So in terms of today's games, Lubie, those are certainly some guys that you definitely should keep an eye out on. And just, kind of glancing at tomorrow's games, I really like what USC has. Andy Enfield.
So that's not good for Miami
Dakota.
Hurricanes. And I was actually going to my next question.
I liked Miami, and I think in a different type of setting, in a different matchup, they would play well. But with Isaiah Mobley, the brother of Evan Mobley, top rookie for the Cleveland Cavaliers, last year they were somewhat of a twin towers combination. Isaiah Mobley, I think his size and difference-making ability on the glass is going to be what separates them from Miami. Again, they're coming cross-country. They're playing in South Carolina. It kind of sets up for Miami to get the victory. But USC's been a top-flight team all year long and somewhat of an underrated Pac-12. When you look at Arizona, you look at, obviously, UCLA, and, you throw in some of these other top teams out there. They haven't had the worst season overall. So as the Pac-10 is kind of rebounding a little bit. So that's certainly a guy, another one to watch out for. And, obviously, this tournament is littered with All-Americans. So, certainly the top players in the country that we have seen before will be on display, guys like Kofi Cockburn. And, of course, the guys out there in Arizona, Benedict Mathurin. There's some good players in this tournament, there's great players in this tournament. And we'll certainly see some ones pop up that most of the nation had never heard of before.
All right. Before I let you go, I'd be remiss to not mention you do boxing, MMA, but your heart and soul and where I think you're going to be on Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays and Sundays, some days soon, is in the wrestling world. It's actually been a very tough week for wrestling. I didn't realize just how beloved this man was. I think we interviewed him once, and I haven't been into wrestling 2 decades, but whenever I was, he was always a heel, and I always fell for the heel, like hated them. So I never had love for this guy, but I never realized Razor Ramon / Scott Hall was this beloved. And God rest his soul, they took him off the support this week, and he passed earlier this week. It was all over social media. I mean, people that I didn't even know still followed wrestling were heartbroken with the news of the passing of formerly Razor Ramon. Most people knew him as Scott Hall. I didn't even realize that heel turn. Your thoughts, because you talked a lot on Twitter, Facebook about just what he meant to wrestling, because I didn't realize he never even won a title. A lot of people are talking about him as the greatest wrestler to never, what Phil Mickelson was once. Greatest wrestler to the golf world, the greatest wrestler to never win a world championship. Like, what does that mean? Because I didn't realize he was still sort of in some way, I guess, involved in wrestling, like the passing of Razor Ramon / Scott Hall.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things when you're in the professional wrestling business, Lubie, you never kind of go away until you really pass away. Paul's always kind of been involved, in a little bit of a training role, consulting role, just kind of popping up here and there throughout the latter part of his life. But Scott Hall, I mentioned it in one of my posts that I made, but you look at guys that were all-stars for a decade plus in Major League Baseball, or the National Football League, or the National Basketball Association. I mean, these guys, especially when that happens during, your prime years of really being into the sport or, being, following things. And to me, it's kind of like he's a fabric of a lot of who we all are. I mean, he's a guy, and I don't mean that necessarily just as people, but as fans of wrestling.
Yeah.
He's a guy who is there from pretty much day one for most of us watching and in through the biggest moments. Another thing I had mentioned, in some of the 3 or 4 biggest moments in the history of professional wrestling, the famous ladder match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10, the formation of the NWO, just several other big moments that were centered around this guy. And, when you're talking about someone that's had a huge impact on the business, he's the first guy to really change the way guaranteed contracts are structured.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of things that, the common fan wouldn't necessarily know. I mean, it used to be kind of a pay per appearance. Like there wasn't necessarily much of a guarantee until Scott Hall and Kevin Nash kind of changed that game, going from the WWF to the WCW when the NWO was formed. And, again, this guy, I kind of equated him, and again, obviously this is a sports show, but I looked at him in a way kind of like a Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
He was right there along for every bit of the ride. He kind of the right-hand man, the Hulk, if you will, who was Michael Jordan in a sense. And he was just, a big piece of the puzzle always, but he was never the main guy. Just like you mentioned, never winning the world title. He's in that same conversation with the likes of Jake the Snake Roberts and Hot Rod Roddy Piper, as big guys and larger than life characters that never held that world championship. So, you look at him as a guy who's always mentioned as one of the top guys, one of always the top pieces. And I think that alone, just knowing his impact on the history of professional wrestling and that it will be felt for generations to come, just shows you how big of an impact the guy really had on the sport.
Well, God rest his soul. Razor Ramon, that's how I knew him. Scott Hall, tough week for the wrestling world. Before we let you go, you're always doing a ton of different things. I know we met up earlier this week for something you're going to be doing this weekend. What are some of the things you have on tap, whether it be boxing, MMA, wrestling, that people can find you at?
This weekend, Lubie, I will actually be in my home state of Virginia to announce Virginia Championship Wrestling. I'll be doing ring announcing and commentary for a great event there in Norfolk. Unfortunately, that will take me a little bit away from second round action on Saturday, but I'll be back. I'll be back bright and early Sunday morning, just in time for tip as we narrow the field from 32 all the way to 16. And it's crazy here, Lubie, on this Thursday morning, 64 teams alive. In those 96 hours, we'll be down to 16. It'll be a crazy ride for the next 4 days.
All right. At Stack Guy Back, if you want to get in touch with him, or on Facebook, Blake Chadwick. We will, of course, have you next week to go from 16 down to 4. Our friend, our buddy, and a guy that knows the sports world inside and out, the one and only Blake Chadwick. Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Lubie. And hopefully by next Thursday, we still have a semblance of a bracket.
Exactly. Our bracket isn't totally busted. All right. That's the one and only Blake Chadwick. Literally, is it a decade ago? God, that's sad. Yeah, I think it's been 10 years or so. We started doing a show called The Young Guns on what was then deforadio.com. It's now non-existent because we do all of our shows now on the world of digital. But we did, the professor and a couple other buddies did a show, and then Blake and I did a show. We did a show every single day for like 3 years. And he's a guy that soared up the announcing ranks. I am still here. People like to say in the toy department, doing my thing with the one and only Jeff Deforrest each and every day. No Defo. Sorry, Jack. No Defo. He's now, I hope he's on a plane on the way to Atlantic City. We will talk with him tomorrow. He'll join me to break down his first day in a sports book ever during March Madness. Again, like Blake just said, the fun kick tips off in about, I think, less than 3.5 hours, 12:15. You have Michigan and Colorado State. Blake just gave you some of the players, some of the teams he's looking for. We will, of course, have him on next week to talk about the tournament. We're starting at 64. We'll get down to 16 after this weekend. Where are we at when we are at 16? Who we're looking for the Final Four? We're looking for to win it all. Gonzaga is the team a lot of people are behind. Look, Mark Few's flirted with it. The guy's been to title games. Last year's team was loaded, and they should have won it all. They fell at the hands of a little bit more physical Baylor team. They're back, a number 1 seed again. We're pretty much top 5 all year long. Have a guy that many people think is a presumptive number 1 draft pick in Chet Holmgren. Timmy's back, a guy that was supposed to be a first-round pick last year, came back to try and win a title with and for Mark Few. We'll see if Gonzaga is there at the end, or if Duke or anyone else in that region can upset the apple cart, as they say. This is the Defo Show. I am Mike Lubitz. You can always check us out on Ion Channel. Just Google the Defo Show, DEFO. Thank you to Blake Chadwick for joining me, talking a little brackets. Thank you to Dave Gurgly for joining me earlier. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Talked a little bit about the Lakers collapse. It is funny that, like, the Heat are 1 seed in the East, and you'll hear about the Brooklyn Nets, who I think are an 8 seed, and the Los Angeles Lakers, who are a 9 seed in the Western Conference. A hell of a lot more. I get it. The Heat have gotten along. They've played well all year. They haven't done major trades, and they've just won. But, I mean, to me, if your team's number 1, they're worth talking about. So we will definitely talk more NBA as we get closer to the playoffs. And I'll talk a little bit more NFL free agency, as the Miami Dolphins have been active. Can they get a tackle? Who knows? We'll talk about that more here. The Defo Show next on Ion Channel.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Your little toss. Your little toss.
Come on.
Oh,
that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Thank God.
Don't do that.
You idiot. Thank God.
Thank God, please. There's nothing to do with God.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Yeah, that was my family, by the way. Yes. I mean, I'm sure you surmised that by my voice yelling. That was my family, and yes, that was a game that my team won. So that shows you just how crazy they are. I haven't gotten to watch a lot of games with my parents in a while, but that to this day, I'm in my late 30s. They're in their 60s. So you would think we love sports. We like sports. We're a family that enjoys sports. But we understand it's just a game on a TV over there. No. If we watch a game together, and I watch games with them, of course, it sounds like that. Like if our team, we're South Florida fans, so we love the Dolphins, the Heat, Marlins. Also, they support the Canes a lot more than I do. My dad went to Florida State, but it was years ago. Having gone to Florida State when the Canes were going undefeated and winning titles, and Florida State was starting there sort of in the early 2000s, I was surrounded by a lot of Canes fans that were sort of obnoxious. So my Canes love isn't where theirs is, but I have a soft spot for the Canes growing up down here. My grandfather went there. We went every weekend. We were at UM. Like my grandmother worked there, so like I have a soft spot for UM. And of course, the Florida State Seminoles, being a Nole. If we watch any of those games, any of them, like people are like, oh, it's just the Noles. No, it's not just the Noles. Like we can watch the Marlins and yell at the screen. Like we're grown adults. They're grandparents of 4 beautiful kids. I'm an uncle to those 4 kids and tons of other kids. All my buddies have kids, and I'm Uncle Mike to them. I'm married. We have a house. I'm a grown-ass adult. Once that game goes on, it can be. I was watching the other day. We do Trivia Tuesdays at Vega Lounge, a place down here in South Florida, out east in like the Pompano Beach area. And the Heat are in a regular season game, the #1 seed in the East, playing a Pistons team that's not good. We all know regular season NBA only matters so much. Everyone loses to a bad team here and there. It happens. Like logically, I know this. Again, I'm a grown man at a place of business that I'm getting paid to be at. I'm not losing it, but as I'm hosting trivia in between, as the Heat, a 14-point lead in the third quarter evaporates to a 5-point deficit. I'm chiding the professor. What the fuck? What's going on? What's wrong with him? I don't understand. This is insane. This is ridiculous. They can't hit a shot. I've never seen this before. They're literally missing every shot. And he looks at me. He's like, Lubie, what is wrong with you? And I get it. It's a regular season game. I shouldn't get this way. But as you heard that clip, that's what I'm born from. So we are lunatics when it comes to sports. It's something I've tried to hone in and handle. What I love about my wife is she doesn't get mad at me for it, as people in the past have. She just doesn't get it. She's like, they can't hear you. I'm like, first of all, yes. Second, who cares? So I'm a very passionate fan. Defo's made fun of me for years because Defo's different. Like Defo's been around this game so long that his fandom's gone. Like he just observes sports as a fan, but he doesn't have a team or players. Like I'm a fan still. It's actually, I almost give myself credit that I've been doing this for 12 years with Defo. I've been doing on-air stuff for 14, 15 years. And I've been covering the game since college. And I still have teams because that's the thing about sports is like you grow up with teams, but eventually once you do it as a job, eventually that goes away because the athletes aren't exactly your peers, but they sort of are. Like when you do it long enough, you form relationships with athletes, you cover them, but as long as you're respectful, you can form friendships and bonds. even when it's a team, let's say you hated, you'll support them or support their growth, or even if you're not from South Florida, when you're covering teams, it's just the better teams are, it's better for your job. So you become sort of a fan. So like you sort of lose your fandom or just become an observer. And that's your job, honestly. You're supposed to be objective. So it's actually sort of interesting that I've been in this game for this long and I'm this much of a fan when the game's on. Now, I will admit, where in years past, when my teams would lose and it would hang with me, that goes away. Like once my team loses, it's over. I move on. I get over it. I know it's a game. But I will say, if you watch a game with me to this day, it's a running dialogue. Like Defo, that's what Defo's called it. The running dialogue, the neurotic running dialogue. That's still there. I don't know when it'll go away. I mean, my dad had kids, and that's why I'm like this, because my dad would literally yell at the TV to the point where he would throw a shoe, like during Dolphins games. And my dad got so frustrated with the Dolphins because when I was growing up, they were good. So you had expectations with the Dolphins. Now you don't get that mad at them. But like Dan Marino, like every year, the Super Bowl. So like they would be the Dolphins and their defense would be eh. So he would get so mad, he'd throw a shoe and he would just leave. Like, I don't think he ever finished the Dolphins game my entire life because they would just frustrate the crap out of him so much. That's what I grew up with. That's what I still have. And I guess it's been a positive because you can tell I have passion when I do this. I do have passion for the sports world. We appreciate all those who have some form of passion to watch us each and every day or in some form. Again, all of our South Florida content or some of it we post on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So definitely check out our playlist, the Defo Show playlist on their YouTube page. And we do exclusive content each and every day. We have a podcast on the Believe Network. It's called After Hours. Just go to believe.com, search After Hours. Our guest today, Brandon Lang, the tournament. We just talked about the March Madness, the men's. Sorry, Jim Sarney. I know the women play. I have all the love in the world for the women. I'm an open-minded liberal. I'm all for women's sports. My niece, I talked to her about playing. We go to her soccer games, and Shirley and I want her to play volleyball and track. I love that there's women's sports. There should be, thank God for Title IX, and women professional sports is tremendous. It gives women can just keep playing just like men. We just saw a woman assistant coach hired, the first woman assistant coach hired in college football, Michigan. So that was really freaking cool. That's a great move. I'm all for it. Just honestly, I don't watch it. Like years ago, I liked women's college basketball because of UConn. And I got into Sue Bird and then Diana Taurasi, before them Rebecca Lobo. And I hated Tennessee. So I'd watch women's basketball then. And the Houston Comets won like 3 titles in a row in the WNBA. Cheryl Swoops, Cheryl Miller. I like that team. Since then, I haven't been into it. So I'm just honest. Like, I don't watch women's sports. No one I know is hugely into watching women's sports. So sadly, we don't talk enough about it. We know it exists. I understand. So I apologize to those who are frustrated by our quote unquote sexism. It's not sexism. Like, people don't care. Like, I am okay talking to the win, but it's not the dream. So anyways, we talked about the men's college basketball tournament with Blake Chadwick shortly ago. That tips off at 12:15. We talked today on our Believe podcast about the tournament with Brandon Lang. Now, Blake is an analyst. Brandon's a handicapper, and he's a handicapper that loves to push the limit. We always have a blast talking with Brandon Lang. 2 for the Money was based on his life. Matthew McConaughey played him. So he's our guest today. Believe.com, search After Hours, and we talk about the tournament. Check that out before you turn your brackets in. I think they have to be turned in by noon, at least before 12:15, so I would get those brackets turned in. I will talk to Defo tomorrow. This is Ion Channel, the Defo Show. Lubie, you can Google and get everything we do here. Just Google the Defo Show, DEFO. Tune in tomorrow. We will have a full Degenerate Friday. The professor with his top 5. It's been hilarious every single week. He has us crying. So he'll have, I think, his latest top 5. He'll also have his version of breaking down the brackets, as he'll have his favorite games for the weekend, or at least for Friday, because again, you don't know what Saturday and Sunday will bring. So he'll have his favorite game for Friday. Also, Mark Lawrence, the championship winning handicapper, will join us as well. He'll have his picks in the NBA and college basketball for Friday or the weekend when it comes to the NBA. And we'll also have the Gambling Gourmet. The Gambling Gourmet will come on, talk a little bit of food and sports. We'll do it all tomorrow, right here on the Defo Show with Lubie on Ion Channel. Again, to find us, check out Google the Defo Show. Thank you for tuning in to me. I appreciate everyone that hung out with me. Check me back tomorrow at 7 a.m. right here again. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Amy, Brad, everyone at Ion Channel. Check us out tomorrow, The Defo Show, right here on Ion Channel. Now that I don't really do the time when Defo's gone, but I will do this because, you know, there's no way to end a show without a little Rex Ryan, a little Melanie.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.